Welcome to this episode of Chattin With Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Paul Manning. What do you think about the store getting shot up and them two young kids getting arrested for doing it?
I didn't know anyone had been arrested, so we'll discuss that in a second. But it wasn't just the shooting. There was an arson, attempt arson. There was a mischief, so criminal damage, and then you got the shooting. What do I think about it? You know what? There's two thoughts. It could be because Harley was calling out the Hells Angels amongst other people, including Donny. It could be retaliation for words, or it simply could be somebody watched him online and decided to take a pot shot at the place. There's crazies everywhere. So until you see all the evidence, you can't. You'd just be guessing. Who were the two young lads that were arrested? You know,
Two young kids, both 16 years old. They had warrants in another province and for other crimes that they committed, like stolen cars or something like that, some other things. But they were arrested down the street. They got them on video, putting the device, one smashing the window, the other one throwing the device through the window.
They've been paid to do it.
So,
yeah, no, they've been paid to do it.
You think so?
100%. What you just described. That's enforcement. So we had a city councillor in Hamilton, and he was paying people to smash up properties, and then it got to a stage where he actually asked a cocaine dealer, a crack dealer, to blow up a property. But he was specific. I want you to use dynamite, and it was covered up. It was dealt with. So, but yeah, so the Hells Angels especially, sorry, the Mafia as well. They'll use hang-arounds to do dirty work. Simple as the fact, why take the risk? Yeah, it's good to get your hands dirty, but why take the risk and go to jail? And you know these guys aren't going to say anything, especially against the Italians, because you talk against the Italians, you never see court. So, yeah, guaranteed they were both paid to do it. Did they get the shooter though?
No.
That's what I thought. I know they got the arsonist, but I didn't think they got the shooter. I thought you meant they got the shooter. So no, that
was happened at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was 4:30 a.m.
And I don't think anyone was in the place when it happened.
And I think that, and it's a message. I think everyone understands that it's a message. Either somebody's pissed off about him speaking out, or it's one of the people he's spoken out about that are sending him a message. But watching what few videos I've watched, I don't think he's somebody that backs down that easily. So.
No, there's quite a bit of videos of him going at people and people going at him. It seems like it's starting to compile and it's starting to spiral, kind of. Like there's people everywhere that are talking shit, and I get it. Like, you're not going to sit there and let people just say whatever, but it's like you don't got to address everybody that talks about you, right?
Well, this is the thing. So bikers have rules. So the 1%ers have rules. And the rules are standard. They don't change from club to club. They're standard rules. And what Harley's done, it just violates every traditional code these guys have got. They operate on silence, face-to-face resolution, internal discipline. Okay? So they sort out their own problems, and you keep quiet about it. It's as simple as that. And that's not what he's done. From a policing intelligence perspective, this hits loads of red flags for me. If I'm down in Durham, I'm policing Durham, which is where Oshawa is, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that there's going to be damage, there's going to be arsons, and there's going to be shootings. And you've had them all already. So this behavior draws heat from law enforcement. And that's not something that traditionally these guys have done. So social media is great, as far as I'm concerned. I guarantee law enforcement are grabbing every single video, post, etc. It's all going into a bank. They're keeping everything. Evidence trail, intelligence mapping, the visibility of the internal conflict. Who's going after who? So if Donny turns up dead tomorrow or Harley turns up dead tomorrow, who's my first suspect? But for me, I mean, a lot of people, especially when they watch your show, a lot of people don't look up to bikers as such, but they sort of respect the lifestyle. Some of them romanticize it, but a lot of them just respect it. And I think this behavior undermines the reputation of the outlaw motorcycle clubs. Flip side to that is I don't really care, because as far as I'm concerned, they're still on the wrong side of the law, and they shouldn't be operating. But it is what it is. You can't, you can't be an internet tough guy when everyone knows where you work and where you live, and where you hang out and where you fight. And so it shows a lack of discipline and instability within the organizations, which is good for law enforcement. They'll be all over it. And like I said, the Ontario cops, when it comes to BEU, when it comes to background enforcement, they're very good. Very good.
So what do you think's in store for the future of Satan's Choice? Do you think it can prosper and can be a successful thing? Or do you think that the internet will kind of put a damper in everything?
So what do you mean by successful? Do you mean as a brand, or as a
prosper? Yeah, like, do you think it'll grow and be successful with, like, being a good thing for the community, or do you think it'll turn into a bad thing?
Well, it's never a good thing for the community. There's no positives that come from this. I mean, there'll be chapters pop up everywhere. There'll be false chapters that then Gwydden's got to go on police and say, listen, you can't wear the patch. Who stops us? Are you going to stop us? I mean, what do you do? Do you turn to violence, which is what you traditionally do, or do you turn a blind eye? Do you go and get a lawyer and sue them? I don't think this is over yet. I really don't. This grief, because you can't say the things that these two have said and then back down without losing face. And at this moment in time, they've both lost face. Nobody's thrown a punch, yet they're crying about how they want to beat each other up. And then once that happens, others will get pulled into the violence. And then once that happens, innocents will get pulled into the violence, and that's when it becomes a big political hot potato. And that's sort of what appears to have happened here, especially towards the end of this play. But I as a brand, you know what, could make Gwydden a few million. It's selling. He's not selling T-shirts. He's not selling merchandise, baseball caps, etc. But yeah, again, what are the guys that are patching over from the Red Devils and the Hells Angels and the Outlaws? What are these guys? What are these guys doing? Are they becoming Satan's Choice and stopping the criminality? I don't think so.
Do you think that if Harley and Donny Wonch fight in the ring, that will squash the beef between them, or do you think it would keep going?
No, I think he's done. I don't know. I don't know Harley. Okay. But I tell you now, if Wonch got in the ring with him and lost, he'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Shake hands and that's it. It's done. Better man won that day. He doesn't seem the type to keep a beef like that and then go and start shooting up and patching up. And no, I think it's done. I think that, you know what? I think that would end it. That would end. And it also, it stops the problem of losing face, which is what we're finding here, that you've got two separate entities that are just talking. And you know what, you go on X, you can find a million internet tough guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
if
violence,
you go out on the internet looking for a problem, you will find it. You will find it.
This at this moment in time, this is simply a personal vendetta between these two. It's two guys arguing on the internet, which I mean, I spoke to somebody this weekend who's in that industry, and he said that they're not talking about the argument of who would win the fight. Or they're talking about the fact that these guys are talking openly on the internet about club business. That's not the place for it. The violence that they want to do to each other is just a personal vendetta at the moment. However, like I just said, if it draws the clubs into it, then you're going to see a lot of issues. You really are. It's a forced real-world escalation. So, yeah, I hope, worst case scenario, I hope they just forget about it and move on. But worst case scenario, they get in a ring, they duke it out, one of them goes down, and that's it. They shake hands and they're men about it. But I don't know Harley well enough. I know Donny would probably just shake hands and walk away. He's lost fights. He's lost loads of fights.
He can do it in the future.
No.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry?
Yeah, Donny's lost loads of fights. I've seen
he's lost
the
fights,
videos.
But so a lot of fighters, especially when it's bare knuckle. Bare knuckle's hard. It seems like there's a shift in organized crime criminal culture which is very beneficial to law enforcement, because I see names popping up on Facebook, not as friend requests, but as people you might know that I worked undercover on. And the Facebook page is open, and it's got the kids' names there. It's got everything there. From a law enforcement perspective, it's fantastic intelligence. We call it open source intelligence. But I think that they need to. They've lost control of this. I think they just need to shake hands and forget about it and get about the business. I really do.
Do you think if motorcycle clubs want to keep a low profile or keep off the police's radar, they need to stay off the internet altogether, right?
I can't believe I find some of them on there. I really can't. I really, really can't. And not even, I mean, major players are on the internet. They have Facebook accounts, they have Instagram accounts, and you look at it and go, really? You know what? They're doing our job for us. We don't need to do surveillance anymore. We can literally see where they are. Well, that guy's in Sarnia this weekend, and there was a homicide in Sarnia. Fantastic. Let's go. We've got a suspect. So yeah, I think
wow,
it's a weird scenario when you've got this this shift. You've got this old model of secrecy, and then you've got this new model of social visibility and TikTok and videos about how you get turned away from the Dominican Republic, and then another video of Donny saying how he's going to knock you out. And you know what? Just do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. Especially online.
I think it would be great. I think they could put it on pay-per-view, make a few bucks, right? Both of them could make some money. A lot of people want to see this go down.
Yeah, you know what? Then they can sort it out. The grown men, they can get each other's phone numbers and sort it out. I think Donny went up there to Oshawa and stood outside screaming and shouting, and then Harley was shouting for him to come in the store, and you know what? And nothing was going to happen that day. Do you know why? Because everybody knew he was coming up there. He said on the internet he was coming up there. Guaranteed there's 100 troops there. The BEU would have been there. You would have had 2 surveillance teams there. You would have had tactical there just in case there was a firearm incident. Somebody would have had a dog there. And that's the last thing you want to argue with, one of the police dogs. So it was all bravado. It was all shouting for nothing.
I know they were sitting right down the street. I heard the
cops,
biker police. You know,
the BEU. Yeah, they'll have been all over this. They're really good. They really are. And if they saw them, it's because they wanted them to see them. BEU, they've got really good surveillance. So if they actually saw cops in the cars, it's because they wanted them to see them. And I'll be honest with you, if I was a supervising officer there, I would have done exactly the same. I would have put a unit right there that they could see, and they know it's being policed. Because it's better to prevent violence than to arrest for it.
What do you think about Dave Pick Trammell being arrested and that whole situation with BMF and torturing bikers? And I heard some wild stories that bikers were going to the police for protection from these street gangs.
It's he got arrested in Italy, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He needs to be extradited and he needs to be put before the courts, and we'll wait and see what happens. No, torture's not an uncommon thing in that world, especially the Italians. They're happy to torture people.
No, the gang members were torturing bikers. The gang members were torturing bikers and filming it.
Ways. I mean, these guys, they're not immune to pain. They're not immune to violence. I've seen them back down from fights. I've seen them back down from fights that you'd think they'd easily win. And they back down because they're not patched and they're by themselves. So when they're patched, a lot of people leave them alone because the indication is that I'm an organized criminal and I've got friends. And when they're not alone, there's a group of them, then yeah, they're happy to throw down. And this doesn't stand for all of them. There's some tough guys out there. There's some really tough guys out there. But yeah, they'll back down from fights. So yeah, they're not without fear. They're not without pain. So it doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. It's when they go to war with each other.
The gang members don't play by the same rules. You know, the gang members will go to your house to shoot it up like old school type shit. And they didn't care about anything.
Give a shit. Crips don't give a shit. you've got the black and white fronts in Hamilton. They really didn't care. So the two that tried to kill me, they were Bloods. The four, rather. We didn't identify two of them, but the two of them they were gang members. But they were gang members for hire, so the Hells Angels hired them to come and hit me.
So that back then they had a relationship, and then it soured over time, right? Their relationship kind of soured.
They fall out, but they fall out within. There's internal falling out as well. There's always some kind of, and that's why you don't really hear about it, because they adhere to this idea of secrecy. But yeah, they'll fall out and they'll have to have a discussion. You've heard of the Mafia sit down. That's when there's internal rife and they need to get it sorted so that it doesn't escalate into something else. And they'll go in and they'll sit down and they'll have a meeting and they'll discuss it. And the person who's aggrieved will go in. They call it double barrel, so that both barrels are loaded. And that doesn't mean it doesn't refer to violence. What it means is that I come into a meeting. This is what I want. That's one barrel, but this is what I'll accept. And I won't accept any less than that. Now, you don't say that, but that's the idea you go into the meeting with. And then it's resolved. There's no violence in the sit down. It's a given that it'll be free from violence or harsh words, and people will talk nice. And then you've got the bikers. They do exactly the same. They're very, very efficient on sorting out internal conflict. Whereas the Bloods, give a fuck. They'll fight amongst themselves, right? And shoot each other. Yeah. There's no rules there. So yeah, you're right, 100%.
Tomasetti, who's that?
Daniel. Ange Mastano was probably one of the heads of the Mastano crime family. He was shot. He was gunned down in his driveway. I'm gonna say May 28th, 2017, and it was three guys that were involved. One was called Tomasetti. One was allegedly involved. Tomasetti. One was called Ranieri, and one was called David. I want to say Corbin. I can't remember. Maybe Corbin. So
I think it was on video, right? It was on video.
Yeah. You'll find, if you go to my Twitter feed, you'll find the little video clip of the shooting. So a couple of weeks before that, they tried to kill a guy called Sonaro, and Sonaro was with his girlfriend Mila Barbari at the time, and she unfortunately died. She was murdered by these guys allegedly. So they fled to Mexico, and then two of them wound up dead. Obviously got on the wrong side of the cartels, or Pat Mastano called in a favor down there. And it was Tomasetti that was the one still alive. Now, I swore he was dead. I was told he was dead, and he's not. But he was arrested. They released his arrest on a red notice about a week ago. Say, we've got this guy. He's in custody in Mexico. We're going to start extradition proceedings. However, they arrested him 6 months ago, and they kept it quiet for some reason. And nobody quite knows why. And there could be a number of reasons, but wow. It may be linked to the investigation or trying to keep something secret, or it could be the fact that he's obtained Mexican citizenship in the past 10 years, and that causes a lot of problems when it comes to extradition. So hopefully he's on his way back. But one of his defenses for extradition is allegedly that he's scared of Hamilton police and what they'll do to him when he comes back. He's alleging corruption within the police service, which speaks absolute volume. It really does. Hamilton have got they've always had a good homicide unit. They always do a good job. But this one, there may be a chance that he doesn't get extradited. He stays in Mexico.
And so would he stay in Mexico and do his time there, or would they let him go?
Oh, he won't be convicted. They just let him go. So it's right. Red notice.
Can you imagine?
Okay. I get a homicide comes through the door. Red notice. I put that out to Interpol. So I've got a suspect, but I know he's left the country. Okay. I put that out to Interpol. Interpol put out what's called a red notice, and it's a warrant, but it's on red paper. That's why they call it red notice. And that means if he's run anywhere in the world, it'll be flagged, and they'll say he's wanted for murder in this country, and they'll detain him. And if there's an extradition treaty in place, then you go through the process. However, that process is the DOJ sends an entire file down to Mexico as if we're going to run a trial. The judge down in Mexico that's overseeing the extradition proceedings will decide if there's enough evidence to find him guilty of that offence, and if he or she decides that, they'll send him back. If they turn around and say, well, there's not quite enough evidence, I need more, they'll release him on his own recognizance, until more evidence is provided. So I don't know what evidence they've got. Knowing Hamilton, they've probably got everything they need. So his argument is, one, I'm going to get killed, which he probably is. There's still a lot of people after him for what he did to Ange. And then two, I fear that it might be the actual cops that kill me, which is a fabrication in my opinion. But yeah, corruption would be a concern for me as well.
How bad is the corruption in Canada?
It's bad enough that you're seeing officers getting arrested every day. And I mean, just 2 days ago, you saw a CBSA officer get arrested and then a corrections officer get arrested the same day. So the corrections officer was taking drugs into the prison. I want to say up in Milton. And then the CBSA officer was allowing drugs into the country through the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge. That is not, that particular one with the CBSA is not a singular event. I have had reports of that numerous times from different locations. You pay maybe $10,000 and you just drive your car straight through. You arrange which gate you're going to go through. You come through at a time when that particular officer's on that you've paid. And then you text ahead. He says, yeah, I'm in lane 7. Make sure you come through. Then he rushes all the cars through to get to you. You come through, takes your passport, scans it. So if there's 4 in the car, he only scans your passport and then everybody drives through. That's one of the ways to get stuff across the border. But that's fraud because you don't know whether it's been compromised or whether he's given it up. So, but that's a way. And this guy got caught doing exactly the same. So how bad's the corruption? It's pretty bad. You don't find as much in the ICMP because these guys move around, and it's hard for corruption to take to anchor to a particular officer if he has to move around all the time. So tenure is a good thing, but you can't do it with small services. You can't move them from the only
I hear that
police station you have.
Some of these cops are just getting in trouble for being friends with 1%ers up there.
You know what? But it's not just being friends with them. The relationship's inappropriate. You know what you do for a living. You know what kind of friends you're supposed to have and not have. And it's not for a police service to tell its police officers who they can associate with, but common sense dictates that you don't associate with certain people. It's just dangerous. And I'm not talking from a physical aspect. I'm talking from an employment aspect. Why you drink with 1%ers? Why you drink with member of the mob? I mean, I've got a surveillance report. It's from the 90s now, but I've got a surveillance report with the OPP, which is our state police, are surveilling Tony Musitano, who was a lead member of the Musitano crime family, along with 3 Hamilton police officers, and they all went fishing together. Well, you know what? Even if you're just going fishing, it's stupidity. And I challenged one about it. He was my staff sergeant, and I challenged him about it. And he laughed. And he went, we're under surveillance? Jesus. No, we just went fishing. And I'm thinking, you know what? There's a lack of common sense for certain people, and that's probably one of the bigger ones.
It's pretty wild stuff. It's always great to have you on. You're a wealth of information. And is there any final thoughts in this whole thing with Satan's Choice and Donny and what's going on up in Canada?
No, I just thought, you know what, from a law enforcement perspective, because at the end of the day, I'm a cop. From a law enforcement perspective, I hope it just gets resolved and they forget about it and man up and just walk away. Because these things do escalate. I mean, you've seen it. You get numerous guests on and they tell you stories of somebody slighted, and then all of a sudden there's a physical altercation, and then all of a sudden two groups of men are going to war over it, and it beggars belief. But either way, it doesn't matter because the bikers are always getting hit by the cops up here. So it's just they're easy to replace, whereas the Italians and some of these other groups aren't.
I like to get your perspective because it's a different perspective, you know? Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And we'll be speaking in the future and get this going again. Thank you. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we go?
No. I don't have anyone. It's just me, the wife, and the kids.
Well, go check out his book. I'll put a link in the description of this video. Thank you, man.
Oh yeah, there's a book. It's great.
Yeah. I'll put the link in the description of this video. Go check it out.
Take it easy.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, Hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's brother, sister's friend about Chattin With Staxx. The dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, don't be a bitch.